Hello, tonight our lesson is on finding the area of quadrilateral four-sided figure called a trapezoid. And so here we have the trapezoid formula. And this formula is the same actually in all of these different representations, but they're just written a little bit differently. Notice that here, this first formula, that we have B1 plus B2 in parentheses, which is the same everywhere. All right, so this formula does involve adding two numbers together in the parentheses. So that would be the first thing we would do in order of operations. And then after that's added together, we're going to multiply that sum by 1/2 and by h. Okay, now notice that in this formula, the 1/2 is still in front of the parenthesis, but the h has been moved. The h has been moved over to the front. But it really doesn't matter, because when we multiply numbers together, the order we multiply makes no difference. And so over here in this representation, notice that the h is still being multiplied after the parenthesis, and they use a little x to show that multiplication. But look at what happened to the 1/2. Where did the 1/2 go? Do you see where it went? Sure, it's right here. Okay? This is being divided by 2. But think about it. When you divide something by 2, it's exactly the same as multiplying by 1/2, right? 1/2 times 4 is going to equal the same as 4 divided by 2. Okay, so I show you this just so you realize that all of these formulas are saying the same thing. They're just represented a little bit differently. Now let's look at how we arrive at this formula. Let's say we have a rectangle, and not a very good rectangle, but you get the idea. Rectangles have four sides. The opposite sides are parallel and they have the same length. And to find the area of this rectangle, we would multiply the base and the height. Okay, so the area of this rectangle would be 50 square units, whatever they happen to be. Okay. And let's take another rectangle. Let's say we have this rectangle that is 20 by 5. The area of this rectangle would equal 20 times 5, so this would equal 100 square units. Okay, so this makes sense. But now what if we had something that was in between these two? What if we had some sort of a hybrid of these two rectangles? So here's what I mean. What if we had this? What if one side of our shape had 10 for its length, but the other side had 20? And the distance between them was still 5. So in effect, what we have is we have something that is in between both of those rectangles, right? If we took a rectangle that had 20 and a rectangle that had 10 and just used one of each of the sides, and the height was still 5, we would end up with a hybrid of the two. And we call this a trapezoid. Okay, now think about it. What would the area of this hybrid be? It's going to be more than 50, right? But it also is going to be less than 100. So what do you think the area would be? Well, if you said 75, you would be right. 75 would be the average of the two, right? This is 50, this is 100. If we did something that was in between the two, we would get an area of 75. So that is really what we're doing with a trapezoid. A trapezoid is really kind of a hybrid. And let's go back to those formula we looked at. All right, the formula was, I'm going to just use one of them, 1/2 B1 plus B2 times H. All right, so what this formula for the trapezoid was really doing is they were taking the two bases, that's what the B stands for, the two bases, and they were averaging them. They would add the 20 and the 10, and then multiplying by the half is the same as dividing by 2. So this part of our formula is really just the average of the two bases of the trapezoid, and then multiply by the height, which was 5 in all these cases. If we did that, we would get 75, right? 10 plus 20 would be 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15, and then 15 times 5 is 75. So here's how I want you to think of the formula for the trapezoid. I want you to think of it like this. It's the average of the two bases multiplied by the height. Okay, if you understand that, you won't have to really memorize the formula. You'll know that you average the two bases of the trapezoid, and we know averaging two numbers is easy. You add them, divide by 2. Then multiply by the height. Okay, so let's try that with this trapezoid. All right, so here we have a trapezoid, and what's the height of the trapezoid? What do you think? That's right, it's going to be the 5. There's the height right there. Okay? Now, what are the lengths of the two bases? That's right, 8 and 4. Now, notice something about these bases. These bases are parallel to one another. And that's really important that you recognize that. When you identify the bases of a trapezoid, they are going to be the two parallel sides. All right, so let's figure out our area. Our area is going to be the average of the two bases. So I'm going to add 8 plus 4 and divide by 2, or multiply by a half, same thing. Then I'm going to multiply that by the height, which is 5. Okay, let's finish it up. 8 plus 4 is 12. And now I'm doing nothing but multiplication. So the order I multiply really doesn't make a difference. 1/2 times 12 is 6, and then 6 times 5 is 30. So the area is going to equal 30 centimeters squared. Okay, that wasn't so bad, was it? Let's try another one. Okay, here's another trapezoid. Let's start by identifying the parts. All right, what is the height? Yes, the height is the 10. Okay, what are the two bases? Yes, 6 and 20. Those are the two parallel sides. Therefore, to find out my area, I'm going to add the two bases together, the 20 plus the 5, and then divide by 2. And then multiply that by the height, which is 10. Okay, so this is going to end up being 1/2 times 25 times 10. Now remember I said the order we multiply makes no difference? It doesn't. So I could choose to multiply 1/2 times 10, because in my head that's easier for me. 1/2 times 10 is 5, and then 5 times 25 is 125. So the area of this trapezoid is 125 square centimeters. All right, next example. Here we have another trapezoid. Identify the height and the bases. What is the height? Yes, it's the 15. That's the height. What are the bases? Yes, 9 and 20. All right, go ahead and calculate the area. Pause your video and then restart when you have it. Welcome back from pausing the video. To calculate our area of the trapezoid, we're going to add the two bases. So 9 plus 20, and then divide by 2, and then multiply that by the height, which is 15. So 1/2 times 29 times 15. Okay, so 1/2 times, I'm going to go 1/2 times 15, which is 7.5, and then multiply that by 29. Okay, so I ended up with 217.5 meters squared. Okay, you may want to check that with your calculator. That looks right. Okay, let's try another one. All right, here is another trapezoid. Go ahead, pause your video. I want you to identify the height and the two bases, and then restart the video to see if you got that part of it right. Welcome back from pausing the video. Let's identify our two bases first, because our two bases are the parallel sides. Okay, this one, the bases are here. Those are the parallel sides. So this trapezoid was turned the other direction. Those are the bases. And the height is going to be the 12. Were you able to identify those correctly? All right, now pause your video, calculate the area, and then restart. Welcome back from pausing the video. Our two bases are 15.2 plus 10.2, so I'm going to add those together, divide by 2, and then multiply by 12. $15.2 plus 10.2 is 25.4. That's being multiplied by 1/2 or divided by 2, same thing. And then times it by 12. I'm going to go 1/2 times 12, that would be 6. So 25.4 times 6 would give me the answer. It's 152.4, and it's centimeters squared. All right, how'd you do? Thanks for watching, and as always, read some books.